I will present our mini project 1. The team members are Gwen, Chua Kasiang, myself Satya and Davinash. First of all, I will explain about the user category who can use this system. The first category would be employees. This user category includes all the regular employee of Sophic Solution Technology who need the office premises and various restricted access control room within the facility. The second category would be contractors and visitors. This user category includes external contractors, vendors, visitors who may require temporary access to the office premises or specific task or meeting. The third one would be security panels. This user category includes security personnel who are responsible for monitoring and managing the physical access control system.
Okay, so for the question B, which is define minimum 5 main features or menu or process for this system with a proper explanation. So for the first user authentication and enrollment, for example, this feature menu or process allows for the authentication and enrollment of user into the system as well. So the users such as employee and contractors, visitors need to be enrolled in the system with their relevant identification details and credentials such as fingerprint, biometric access control, access card or PIN to establish their identity so that we can know that they are the original person who can enter to the certain place as well. So number two is access control configuration. For example, this feature menu or process allows the system administrator to configure and manage access control settings. Access control configuration, this feature menu process allows the system administrator to configure and manage access control settings. So which this will like make the administrator work very easy so that he no need to go to the system every time and check one by one who entered the place. So like this will be more easy and save the administrator time as well. And number three is event monitoring and logging. For example, this feature allows for real-time monitoring access event and logging of access activities. Okay, for the fourth one is alarm and alert management. For example, this feature involves setting up alarms and alert for specific events or situation. So like people from outsiders, for example, they try to enter or what, they will trigger the alarm as well, alarm and alert manager as well. So reporting next is reporting and analytic. For example, this feature involves generating reports and analytic on access activities and system performance as well. Reports can provide insight into access pattern, trends, and anomalies, helping to identify potential security gaps for area for improvement as well. So question C is about design a functional decomposition diagram FDD for a system. So first we got the main one, which is access control system. We'll go on the left side is user authentication and enrollment, and for the right side event monitoring and logging. So from there we can take alarm and alert management, and for that side report and analytic. Then for the user authentication and enrollment, you can see we got separate into three roles, which is capture and store user credential, verify user credential, enroll user into the system. For the access control configuration, we got define access level, define access schedules, define access rules. On the event monitoring and logging, we got real-time monitoring of access event, capture and record access activities, track and log access event. And for the alarm and alert management, we can set up alarms and alert, monitor alarms and alert, and also notify security personnel of alarm and also alert. And for the reporting and analytic, We can generate access activity reports, generate system performance reports, and also analyze access patterns and trends. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Puan. Today I'm going to talk about our mini project. So this is my part. So my question is design a context diagram for your system. Okay, so I decided to put one, two, three, five processes, two data store, and three entities for one of the processes. So our processes are user integration and enrollment, access control configuration, event monitoring and logging, alarm and alert management, and reporting and analytics. So two data storage, user traditional database, access control settings and database. Okay, there are three entities, which is the data flow from it and move to the user understanding and enrollment process. Security personnel, contractors or visitors, and employees. So those data will will move to the user understanding and enrollment process. And then the data flow to data store user creation database. And not only that, all of this data move from the entities and move through to the processes and ended up in the access control settings database. So good morning, Puan. Today I'm going to talk. Yeah, my next question is design a data flow diagram level 0 for my system and provide explanation. So there are three entities. Data from these three entities, which is security personnel, contractors and visitors, and employees. The data is the user's credentials flow will manage to get to the process, which is user authentication and enrollment. So those data from this process will manage to send to the data store, user credential database. And yeah, the next, and from another process, which is event monitoring logging, will send the data to the alarm and alert management, and even it sends the data to data store user credential database. Before the event monitoring and logging process, access control or configurations, so those data from this process will move to the event monitoring and logging process, and those all the data will move to the manage to move to user credential database. And after that, those data from the user credential database will send to the another process which called reporting and analytics process. So this data will extract and move to last uh, the last data store, which is access control setting database. So all of this data will send it to this data store and record it and manage to save it. And yeah, that's all from me.
Hello, my name is Rocky Sangsoman from DDT4E. So now I'm going to explain number F of the mini project. So we were tasked with selecting two main processes from the DFD level 0 diagram earlier, uh, other than login, and to develop two processes. So the processes we have chose, the first one is request access process. The input is user ID and access request details, and access control settings database. The output is access request response granted or denied. So the request access process requires users access request and determines whether access should be granted or denied based on access control settings database. The process logs all access requests and responses in the event monitoring and login process. So in the DFT level 1 here, the request access process has two inputs: user ID access request details and access control settings database. The process then interacts with the access control process to determine whether access should be granted or denied. The output of the process is access request response and an event log entry. The access request response is sent back to the user, while the event log entry is sent to the event monitoring and logging process. So moving on to the next process. So it's access control process. It is similar to the earlier process, but the inputs is access request response, user access details, access control settings database, and access grant or denial event login. So for this, the access control process receives an access request response and user access details and determines whether access should be granted or denied based on access control settings database. The process logs all access requests and response in the event monitoring and login process. So you can see event login and monitoring. So in the diagram, the access request response and user access details are inputs in the control process. The access control setting database is also used to determine whether access should be granted or denied. The access grant/denial and event log entry are the outputs of the process here. So that is all. Thank you.